Oh, okay.
So moving on to Cin and Japs at the movies.
Sorry.
What movie did we watch this week?
We
at
watched
movie
The
theater?
Hunger Games.
I'm fine. I am.
Listen to me. You're stronger than they are. You are. Get to a bow.
They may not have...
Well, if you show them how good you are. They just want a good show. That's all they want. If they don't have a bow, then you make one, okay? You know how to hunt.
There's 24 of us, Cal. Only one comes out.
Yeah. And it's gonna be you. Okay.
Take care of them, Cal. Whatever you do, don't let them starve.
Let's go. I'll see you soon, okay?
Obviously, this is the big thing right now. It's like the new Twilight or the new Harry Potter. So this is a new big
I don't think it's
book
that,
to film adaptation.
I don't think it was as great as Twilight and Harry Potter.
Okay, we'll get into that. the Twilight thing, we'll get into that.
Well, I mean, I like the fan base. I don't think it was. I'm talking about the fan base. Like, I think they. Well, I'm not sure, or maybe I just. Well, first of all,
I mean, the books are very well known, and it did do well. It made $68 million opening weekend, which is pretty good. It's actually one of the best openings for a non-sequel, So it's not an original property. It's based on a book, but it has a good fan base. Anyway, what did you think of the film?
I mean, I was okay with it. I'm not like a fan. I mean, I'm not interested in it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
You want me to take the reins on this? Want me to start?
Well, see, I don't want to sit here and blame you.
Well, I mean, to be honest, when we went to go see it, we went to go see it Thursday at the midnight show with our friends Alex and Laura.
Shout out to them.
But we went to go see it at midnight, and let's just say Cynthia wasn't in a great mood that day for one reason or another. Which is okay. Which maybe,
I was just stressed out
maybe
from
could have
work.
affected the experience of the film. I mean, let's talk about that for a second. Like, think about watching movies. Like, if you're in a certain state of mind where it's hard, it's harder for you to enjoy a film. You know what I mean? Like, let me say what I thought about the film. After seeing it the first time, there was plenty of problems I had with it. I initially gave this film a 2.5 out of 5, which is not that great. I was pretty disappointed. And the reason why I think I was disappointed was the actual section of the film was the actual Hunger Games, which is the actual competition between these kids, which is what the movie is about, these kids who are taken from the districts that they live in, and they have to fight to the death. I thought it didn't play out. It didn't play out like I was expecting it to. I was thinking something more along the lines of Battle Royale, where it's very violent. But this movie is only PG-13, so they only could get away with so much. But I don't know. After I had seen it for the first time, I was pretty disappointed with that. But I think I was seeing the movie for what I wanted it to be, or what I was expecting that section of the film to be. It didn't play out the way I was expecting.
What I find weird is how can you, like, you never read the book, so how can you go in there expecting something that you don't know what it's about?
I mean, no, I just think, like, if you think about, I could have expectations about it because I've seen plenty of films that have taken this premise, which I mentioned already, Battle Royale and The Running Man.
But did you know what that was about? That they would put these people in, or you saw it based on once you saw the movie and you're like, oh, okay.
No. I knew that's what the movie was about.
Oh, I didn't know. Like, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference, I guess, because I didn't know. And I mean, yeah, like, I have heard people like read the Hunger Games or whatever, but I've never become interested in it.
I was definitely interested. I mean, I've heard they're good books. My brother borrowed me the book, but I gave it to my sister to read, and I just made a decision. You know what? I'm not going to read the book because I don't want to go into this film comparing it to the book. Like, no, it's not going to live up to that. I just wanted to enjoy it on its own account, and then maybe I could go and finally read the book, so that I can still have that experience with the movie.
Lord knows that's not going to happen.
Well, no, I'm actually very intrigued, but the first time I had seen the film, I honestly wasn't. I was disappointed, and I wasn't really intrigued to see where the film goes. I was interested in reading the books because I felt like this was a world that had a lot of details to it that I wanted to know more about it. So I definitely wanted to get that from the book because I know there's going to be more details in the book. But I wasn't necessarily excited to see where the movies are going to go. the movie franchise, which, you know, there's going to be 2 more movies, most likely.
That makes sense.
But then I went yesterday and I saw the film again with my parents and my sister. We went to Hollywood Boulevard, and I just saw the movie in a different way. I looked at the movie for what it was. I mean, especially knowing what the movie is and how it plays out. I initially felt the part in the Hunger Games was kind of boring when they're actually fighting, because I just felt like it was just her roaming around the forest, not doing much. But seeing it the second time, I think they keep it interesting enough where it's entertaining, that section of the film. I mean, the first hour of the film I think is perfect. I think the way they set up the world, I think the details of the world. I like the fact that they really did treat it like a sport. Like, there's like all these analysts. Like, you basically had these agents who are trying to get you ready for the Hunger Games and try to sell you to an audience so you get sponsors. Like, I just like that aspect. I liked how there was analysts like analyzing previous Hunger Games and kind of talking about who their favorites are to win the competition, and how they had this whole interview process. Like, I really like enjoyed that part of the film. Like, I thought that was really well done, and it just was cool in general. Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't like it. I guess I did really say a lot of bad things and point that
Yeah,
out
well,
to you.
you kind of like, I mean, I took it for what it was, you know, it's just like,
Yeah.
I usually do that with movies, like, I take
Yeah.
the movie for what it is, and it's just like, once you, like, like, I noticed that now your opinion kind of matters on, like, it reflects on my opinion,
Yeah.
because, like, then you started saying how you didn't, like, how there wasn't much action going on, and I'm like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
he's right, you know, but, I mean, like, I'm not a fan, like, I'm not, like, see, I don't want to compare it, but I had never read the books, the Twilight books.
Yeah.
And when my friends are like, "Oh, you know, well, this was years ago when the first movie came out," and they're like, "Oh, you got to go see it. It's like it's such a good movie."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the storyline, I like the storyline. You know, it's just kind of like when I first saw Edward, I was like, "What?" But then it's just kind of like you start to get to know the characters, and you kind of like it just, I don't know, it's just something about the movie that is just kind of like, oh, it starts kind of getting you focused on what the characters are about and stuff like that, and I have to disagree with you. I think, yeah, that maybe the little love triangle is a little much, but aside from that, I think they're good characters, and like, you
Talking
know,
about Twilight here.
yeah, I'm talking about Twilight.
Okay.
And so it's just kind of like, and then I was intrigued to see the second part. It kind of like left me, but for this movie, it just didn't really do that for me.
I mean, the first time around it didn't do that for me, but seeing it again, like, just seeing how the story isn't about these Hunger Games. The story is about class issues, how you have these poor people who are being basically kept in their place by having to participate in these things, and you have these people who live in the capital or who live in this great life, and just like polar opposites of each other. There's actually a point in the film where Woody Harrelson's character is, which I didn't even notice the first time I saw the film. Woody Harrelson's character is looking at like a family who was attending. I mean, it's like the Hunger Games, but it's like the Olympics, basically. People get excited because this stuff happens once a year, you know? So in the film, there's this point where he sees this family, and they had bought, like, the little boy a fake sword, and he was, like, pretending to stab his sister, like, trying to stab his sister's fake sword. And it's like, and he's, like, looking at them like, this is, like, so wrong, because you see these people who see this as just, like, some TV show, as some form of entertainment. But then you have these poor people who are actually going through it, which I thought was a pretty powerful scene. And just seeing it the second time, I got more of a sense of why the Hunger Games even exist. Well, I don't know. I guess I just wasn't fully. Yeah, I guess I just wasn't fully into it the first time I saw it, and I just seen it again. I definitely think you should see it again. Yeah, like comparing it to Twilight. I mean, I've enjoyed all the Twilight films besides the last one. But by no means are they good movies. By no means are those good characters. And I heard the books aren't great either. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm really interested to see where the Hunger Games goes. I think it's about more. Like, think about what the Hunger Games is going to be about, probably. And think about what Twilight is about. Like, Twilight's not about anything.
All right. So
why do you defend your Twilight? What's going on here?
No, I'm not. We're not here for movie versus movie. I'm just. I mean, whatever. All right. So we're moving on to our next segment.
No. So what did you give? What did you give Hunger Games? What would you give it out of 5?
I would give it a 3.
I bumped mine up to a 4, which is a pretty big bump, but I don't know. It was just it was a whole different experience the second time around. So I'm glad I saw it twice.
I guess it was better because I wasn't there.
Yeah, maybe.
So